We begin in Ukraine, where President Zelenskyy has dismissed his top military commander. General Valery Salushnyi had been Commander-in-Chief of Ukraine's armed forces. President Zelenskyy said the time had come for changes in the military leadership, but the general could remain on his team. General Salushnyj is regarded by many Ukrainians as a national hero for overseeing the war effort since Russia's full-scale invasion in February 2022. The president says he'll be replaced by Olexander Syrskyj, the commander of Ukraine's ground forces. President Zelenskyy shared this video after meeting with the sacked general.
I'm grateful to General Salushnyj for 2 years of defense. I'm grateful for every victory we achieved together, and I thank all the Ukrainian soldiers who heroically contribute to our successes in this war. We talked frankly today about what needs to be changed in the army. Urgent changes. I suggested that General Salushnyj continue to work together with us in the Ukrainian government. I would appreciate his agreement.
Let's bring in our correspondent, Nick Connolly in Kiev. Welcome, Nick. So this is 10 days. This has happened after 10 days of speculation. What reason did President Zelenskyy give?
We are still waiting for a real clear explanation. We probably won't ever get it. There was lots of very general talk about a need for a fresh start and new management strategies, new approaches. But what exactly that means, and especially given that Salushnyj, in his latest article for CNN, made lots of suggestions of things that needed to be changed or improved, isn't clear. I think the kind of charitable explanation that you would probably hear from some of Zelenskyy's supporters would be that the president can't be too specific for operational reasons, for secrecy reasons, about Salushnyj's failings and potential, things that he's done that haven't worked out, that he can't also be more personal, more direct for fear of dividing society where Salushnyj has a lot of support. I think the more kind of cynical, kind of negative interpretation of all this is that simply Salushnyj was too popular. Lots of polling showed him to have more trust in this country than the president. And there is certainly a lot of fear in the kind of Zelenskyy political camp that this is a man who could have a future political career ahead of him. He's never expressed any political ambitions, but certainly that is something lots of people thought he has. So it's really a difficult moment here in Kiev tonight.
Right. And does this dismissal bring any political risk for the president?
Well, I think it's important to kind of take a look at the pictures, look at the statements that have come out. They really both are putting on a brave face. This has been kind of presented as a kind of compromise or a kind of consensual decision without slamming of doors, without any recriminations in public, at least directly. We had Salushnyj also putting out a post saying that, basically expressing thanks to his team, to the army and to everyone. Then that kind of conciliatory offer from the president saying that he wants Salushnyj to stay on his team, albeit, I guess, in a lesser role, a demotion of sorts. But certainly there is a real danger and there is worry here that this could undermine Ukraine's credibility right now at a moment where it's desperate for international aid and needs to show the US and European partners that it is a good bet, that this is a country worth investing in. But for now, it does seem like Salushnyj is not going to go out and create problems for the president. He has basically implied that he'll support whoever comes in his place, now Syrskyj and a new team. So for now, we're all waiting to see where this goes on. But certainly this was basically death by 1,000 cuts, so something that has been rumoured about, spoken about, speculated about for the past 10 days. And there certainly is a sense that maybe that was part of the strategy all along to prevent this being such a shock, to prevent this taking people by surprise. So instead, we've now had what basically we've been expecting for a good time now.
Thanks for that, Nick. DW correspondent Nick Connolly in Kiev. Let's take a closer look at this with Frank Ledwidge. Frank is a former British military intelligence officer, now a military analyst. He joins us from Oxford in England. Welcome back, Frank. Why do you think this has happened?
Well, good evening, Phil. It depends who you believe. There's the official story, which is that there needs to be a change of strategy and we're moving on now. We need to have new blood. That's the official story. The real story is slightly different. As you yourself, Phil, said just before, General Salushnyj is extremely popular. And it is said, and I think rightly, that this is an unpopular move to remove him for that very reason. And this says something about the politics of all this. that I think many people have said and will say that were there to be a contest between the, yes, still popular General Salushnyj and Zelenskyy himself, there is little doubt who would win. There is also a second reason, and perhaps a more legitimate one, and that is that the new commander, General Syrskyj, does align rather more with the approach taken by Zelenskyy. There's one final and perhaps rather cynical possibility, and that is that the Battle of Avdiivka is not going well, and it may well be that a scapegoat is needed. That's my gloss on things, but certainly the main reason is connected with, in reality, with Salushnyj's popularity, I think.
Right, and this seems like, if you're correct, this seems like one of the worst reasons to change the top of a military in the middle of a war.
Well, the Russians have been doing it since day one, of course. I think they're on to their fourth or fifth supreme commander of the campaign, depending on how you count it. The Americans changed a few times in Iraq and Afghanistan, notably one where Petraeus took over from McChrystal. And there's a long history of changing commanders if they're not seen to be doing well. In this case, Salushnyj has been doing brilliantly well since the start of the campaign. He is now, when Ukraine is in real difficulties, showing his real mettle. However, it is fair to say that his approach does not align with his successors, or indeed with Zelensky's himself, as we saw last year during the Battle of Bakhmut, and to a lesser extent, I think, during the counter-offensive itself. So there is that aspect, that he does represent a strategic, or the new commander, Syrskyj, does represent a major, actually, strategic change, or a change in operational direction.
Yeah, tell us more about that. What can we expect from him?
Well, Syrskyj is seen by the troops as, let's put it another way, he's less popular with the troops than Salushnyj. Generals who husband their resources well, and particularly human resources, their men, care for their men, or are seen to do so, are popular, and rightly so, and we see that through the ages. And Salushnyj is one of those people. His objective is to husband resources and if he's going to take casualties, to measure them very carefully against the gain. Syrskyj is said to be, and has been said to be for a long time, much more of the Soviet mould, which is goal-orientated. So, for example, I've no doubt at all that he is recommending right now as we speak that the Ukrainians hold on as long as they can to Avdiivka, regardless of the cost, just as he did during the Bakhmut campaign, which was, in my view, and the view of many others, probably a major error. However, as I say, goal-orientated, less casualty-averse than Salushnyj, and that's the major difference. And it's reflected in his popularity in the army, as far as I'm told.
Thank you for that, Frank. Military analyst Frank Ledwidge.
Thank you, sir. Good night to you.